Hi, I'm Scotty Cowan, and today we're going to be making a horseshoe hook pick. One like this. This is a half a branch of a horseshoe. But that's what the video is about today. So what we're going to do is take let me set that down. We're going to take a horseshoe and cut it in two. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can do this on the side of your handle. You can do it with a hacksaw. I'm going to be using my cut-off hardy. It just goes into the hardy hole of the anvil. So I'm going to go ahead and start heating this up. The trick is learning how to move the metal. I'm using a gas forge. If you're using a coal forges are, if you see sparks coming up while you're heating the iron, you'll know that you burnt your metal already. The nice thing about a gas forge is I've never burned up anything in this gas forge. I've burned plenty of things up in coal forges. So you just have to watch that. If you're using a coal forge, when you're heating the metal up, keep a close eye on it. If you see sparks, you've already burnt your metal. So like I said, I'm just using my cut-off hardy. I'll cut it so I just get the center of the shoe. Now when you're using a regular hammer like this, you don't want to cut the metal all the way in two. You'll tear up beat up your hardy. So I'm just going to break this all in two. Now if you'll see this anvil, the horn of it is round. The table is just flat, like a table. So when I'm wanting to move metal, I want to hit it. If I want to draw the metal out, make it longer, I'm going to hit it with my anvil, with it on the anvil like this. If I want to make the metal draw out, make it longer, I'm going to hit it on using the round part of my anvil, just a square part of my hammer, to make that, to draw the metal out. Now if I want to make the metal wide, flat, I'd turn my shoe this way. And hit that way, that'd make because of the way the arch is in that anvil, that's the way to help move that metal. So just the way that you hit it. Now periodically when I'm drawing this metal out, I'll bring it over to my table, the face of the anvil. I'll bring it on there and get everything back square because this anvil has a slight dip back this way that puts a little bit of an angle on your metal. So to straighten it back up, I'll bring it back to the table and the face of the anvil. First, I'm going to straighten the shoe out a little bit. So when I'm hitting with my hammer to draw it out, if I use a light blow, what's going to happen is my metal will curl on me, and I'll end up with like a hole in the center of it. So what I'm trying to do is hit the metal very hard to compress it in on itself, to bring the metal down into itself. So it takes a very hard. You want to hit it hard. You don't want to barely hit. You'll end up making your metal curl. You'll have little pieces of the shoe that comes off, little flakes, just called slag. You want to get rid of that off your anvil when you're hitting. That stuff will fly up into your face. Another thing about hitting on an anvil is you don't want to put your head over the anvil looking straight down at the material. You want to keep your head back away from that anvil because if you miss the metal, you get a hard ping back. If your head's over there, there's big guys just knock yourself out because you've had your head over the anvil. back away from the handle as you're working. Now I'm going to start working, right now I'm working just this way on the anvil, but in a minute I'm going to start thinning the metal out. See, I'm making the metal is thicker right here now than it is up here. Let me get something to show you what I mean. So I don't have to touch it with my finger, it gets a little bit warm. So the metal right now is actually thicker right in here than it is back here in the original part of the shoe, because I'm driving that metal down into itself. So what I want to do is I also want to thin that back out to its normal or the same thickness as it is in the original part of the shoe. So I'll be using this part. Anytime I really want to draw metal or move it, I'll use the round part of my anvil. I usually use just the square part to fine tune something or bring something back to square, get something back level. Let me work on this for a second. When you're hitting like that too, you want to do an overlapping blow. You don't want to hit one end of the metal then go to the other end of the metal. Try to get an overlapping blow to keep things moving and keep things even. And if you hit one end and then go to the other end, you'll have big humps and stuff in it. You have a lot worse hammer marks. I mean, when you're doing handmade stuff, you want to have some hammer marks. If not, it looks like machine made. But you don't want it to look really, really raw or rough. Also, I'm using a lot of light to try to show what's going on with the metal. Normally when I'm making stuff, I don't have this much light. You can kind of see you might find it hard to see the exact color of the metal, because the more light it is, the harder it is to see the color of your metal. That's why a lot of the old time blacksmith shops were dark, so they could see what the color of the metal was. Okay, I basically got out what I want, I have it drawn out to what I want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten my end. I'm going to use the round part of my anvil to make the pig part. So I'm going to use the round part of my hammer on the flat part of the anvil to kind of draw that tip out. I want to kind of have a little roundness to it, easier to clean out the hook with. Here's my straight line coming basically. Then I'm going to have to get that to curl up and then back down. I'm going to put it on my anvil like that and get it and then bring it around this way to make the part of the hook. So you have to be in one way, then bring it back the other way to make a nice looking, make a very nice looking hook. Back off my table. You'll notice too that I'm not chasing it around. I'm dropping my hand to bring the piece to me. I don't quite like it, hook. Let's go. I like to leave a little bit of the round in this part, because that is easier to hold for your hands. Now, I've got some crooks in this. I want to straighten them out. I'm going to put it this way on the handle. Try to get everything nice and square. Close it down a little bit more. This edge, I want this to be a nice square edge across there for a hoof. Clean it off. Take it to my grinder and grind just a little bit of that to make it more uniform, more even. There you go. There's your hoof pick. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me.